everyone, my name is Dr. Luatobi, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic called investing in pullets. So as we all know, pullets are day-old layers, and it's a very lucrative business here in Nigeria, West Africa, and even outside West Africa. So it's something every farmer should consider going into. As you know, egg is a very major commodity in Nigeria. I mean, it's important for the cake seller, the snacks woman or the snacks man, restaurants, even in the home as a family. Egg is very important. So why invest in pullets? Why raise your pullets from day old and not just by point of lay, or maybe 10 weeks old point of cage laying eggs? I advise farmers that it is what you put, what you invest into your farm animals, that's what you get in return. So I advise farmers to raise their pullets from day old till they start laying, because you're the only one that know what you're putting into those birds, the effort you're putting, the labor, the money. You don't know how good your management practices are. So I mean, if you're going to be contracting it out, that means you have to contract it out to someone that is really good at it. Someone that is someone that has been doing it for years, or a professional. So if you want to go into the pullets, or let's say egg production business, there are certain things you need to put in place. I mean, you already know you want to, go into the business. You've already chosen the poultry sector, which is the egg production business. So what are the things that you should consider before even starting at all? Because if you don't consider the risks, the challenges, things like that, you might end up getting disappointed in the middle of the journey and probably just selling off the farm and the whole investment, which is really not good. So you need to have weighed your options before even starting at all. So before you enter into the egg business, know your target markets. It's very important. So you don't just wake up in the morning and say you want to start egg production business. Who do you want to sell your eggs to? Who are your target customers? Where is your target environment or your target location? Where do you plan to set up your farm? What kind of farming system do you want to do? Okay, what kind of business scale do you want to adopt? Is it a small scale business? Is it large scale business? Is it medium scale? So all these things you have to consider. That's why it's very important. You have a business plan. So get a professional, hire a professional to write down a business plan for you for maybe the next 3 to 5 years into the business, because professionals are good at foreseeing economic situations, because things like that used to affect the poultry sector. So you need to have a business plan, because it helps you to avoid some things. It helps you to be confident about what you're actually doing, because it gives you step by step what you're supposed to do per time. So first of all, I'll talk about some points. The business plan, choosing the location, knowing your target customer. So when you already have the location you want to build your farm, your pen houses, or it depends on the housing system you want to adopt. If it's extensive, if it's the intensive, which includes deep litter system or the battery cage system. So when you already probably once you get the land that you want to build your farm, you need to get to know the people that are staying in the environment, get to know how easy it is to get farm input, how accessible is your farm. Is very important. The same reason why, or let me not say the same reason, your farm shouldn't be close to residential areas, obviously, but at the same time it has to be accessible to the markets. It has to be close to your target markets. So it's not like, okay, you have your farm in probably this particular location, and then it takes 2 hours before you can actually get some of your produce to your target markets. It doesn't make any sense. That means you're incurring more costs. So you need to make sure that your farm is close to your target markets, is easily accessible to people that will be coming to your farms to pick up the eggs. Because if your farm is not accessible, people will not be ginger to come to your farm to come and buy eggs. So it has to be accessible. It has to be easy for people to locate. Alright, so number one, you have to choose the type of laying birds you want to raise. I mean, we have different breeds in Nigeria. We have commonly, like the common ones are Isa Brown, the Lowman Brown, then we have the Highline Brown. Then there are some people that raise white layers, black layers, although black layers are not so common in this side of our country. I mean, because of our kind of climatic condition. Black layers don't do well with it at all. So there's only few farms that I know that's probably are raising black layers. White layers are quite common because they do well. They know how to manage heat well, but at the same time their eggs are not as big compared to the brown layers or the black layers. So although there are few farms that prefer white layers, but at least the common layers that we know in Nigeria, the Isa Brown, particularly the brown layers. Let me just put it that way. Okay, so you have to choose the breed of laying birds that you want to raise. Then I will advise also that you probably reach out to people that have gone ahead of you, people that are probably 3 years, 5 years, 10 years into the business, laying business. Ask them, okay, what has been your challenges? What are the risks that you've encountered during this business? What are the things I should look out for? What are the things I should put in place? I mean, people like this at least will give you some insights, like so you'll be able to like gain from their experience. So it's not like you're just jumping into the business without knowing anything, without getting knowledge from people that have gone ahead of you. It's actually very important. At least they can give you some points at least that would help you while starting. So it's not like you're a total novice. Then also, if you don't know anything about raising birds at all, I will advise that you get maybe an ebook. I mean, there are ebooks everywhere now. You can go on the internet, get ebooks. You can buy ebooks, the ones that are not free. Buy them, make sure you read them, and make sure you know that okay, you've actually read them and you know what you're doing. So you are not a total complete novice, because I mean there are some farmers that will come and say they want to, not farmers, like just random people just come to say you want to just start the laying business. Do you know anything about it? Because it's very risky. Poultry business is a very risky business. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll just break down along the way. And I mean, we all know the present economic situation of the country. So it's not advised that you just, invest in something that you're not even sure of, or something you don't even have an in-depth knowledge of. So you have to know what you're doing first. Get knowledge is very important. Okay, I've talked about choosing the breed of laying birds that you plan to raise. Then your farm location is important. Your housing system, I've talked about that too. And you have to make your farm accessible to labor. I mean, it now depends. If you're doing small scale, you might not need like many, but advise that if you're starting like the business for the first time, start small. Maybe start with, let's say, 100 layers. Don't just so you want to start, I want to start 1,000 or 5,000. If anything happens, it's going to be a very huge loss. So start small. If you start small, it's usually very easier to scale up from there. So like I said, yeah, your farm location, easily accessible to labor and everything. So if you're doing small scale, you might decide to be the one to, maybe you'll be the farm manager yourself, you'll be the guard man, you'll be the person that is going to be involved in doing your sales and financial management, all these things. So, or you can decide to employ maybe 1 or 2 people, it depends. So you know that as you're going into the business, you have to pay salary if you're going to be including people, like if you're not going to be doing it alone. So that means you are prepared to pay salary. That's why I said you need a business plan. And then you need to know how you want to start. Where do you want to get the funds from? Are you getting loan? Are you getting a loan? Are you getting or maybe you're accumulating your capital together, to just start. So all these things you have to, put in place. And for pullets, you don't get your profits like in a short period, just like broilers. For pullets now, if you're raising your birds from day one, you don't start getting profit until they start laying, which is usually typically around 18 weeks. So that's a very long time. So that means you have to count your costs like very well. And at the same time, you shouldn't cut costs, because if you cut costs during this period, trust me, you face the consequences later on. I mean, you have to like pay a bigger cost if you're cutting costs from the start. So I would advise, if you're going into the business, don't in any way cut costs. Give in your best, put in your best. That's why I said you have to like know how to start. Don't just start anyhow. Don't start big. Start small and scale up steadily. Okay, so your housing system, you have to make sure that you build a good housing system. Get a professional, someone that is, I mean, good with building penthouses. You get, so make sure you build a very good penthouse, and make sure that the construction is in a way that ventilation is very, I mean, the penthouse has to be well ventilated. The penthouse has to be in this east-west orientation, so that, I mean, when we're in the sunny season, once the sun comes out, most times if you don't build your penthouse in the east-west orientation, the sun directly falls on the beds. And laying beds, even any type of bed, even broilers, poultry beds don't do well with heat. So you have to make sure that it is built in the proper orientation. Also make sure that it is well ventilated. So I have some other points here. Okay, I've talked about having a business plan, seeking a professional help, and then your equipment and facilities. And let me just say generally your inputs, like make sure you have a good source. So that's why I said talking to professionals, talking to people that have gone way ahead of you. They might lead you into the path like, okay, this is people that I get my best from, and this is the profit I've been getting. I mean, these are the advantages of getting stuff from this particular plug. So you need to get your inputs, your beds, your equipment, your everything that you're going to be needing. You have to get it from a good source, because once you don't get everything that you need on your farm from a good source, trust me, that's one of the places that failure starts in poultry business. So you have to make sure that you're sourcing your beds from the right supplier. You must make sure that you're obtaining your drugs, your equipment, vaccines, everything is from trusted and tested dealers. So don't just believe any agent that just walks up to you that you don't know anything about. I mean, look for reputable people that already have their integrity at stake, so that if anything happens, I mean, they'll be dragged and they don't want to be dragged. So they make sure that they sell or supply quality products. Also, okay, I've talked about sourcing of your poultry beds, then feeding and drinking. For pullets, it's a lot. I mean, it's quite a lot, because you're putting a lot of money into it from day 1 to about week 18, depending on when your beds start laying. And when your beds start laying depends on how well you manage them from day 1. So pullets have laying beds have a particular maturity weight they must get to before they start laying. If they don't get to this maturity weight, 1.5 kg, they won't start laying. Or if probably they're using their energy to battle diseases or maybe eat stress, that would delay them from laying at the appropriate time. But typically within 17, 18, maximum 20 weeks, your birds should start laying. So looking at this period from day 1 to about week 17, 18, it's a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money you'll be putting into feeding, a lot of money you'll be putting into like a lot of things, drugs, vaccines, and the likes. So you have to make sure that this money, the capital is there for you to, take care of all these things. So it's not like at some point you're cutting costs on the feed, because the quality of the feed you give to your beds is very important. If you don't give them quality feed, you won't have quality beds. In short, they won't give you quality results. So you need to give them quality feed. Their water, you have to make sure that your water flow is from a very good source. You have to make sure that you keep probably maybe monthly or maybe in 2 months you're doing water tests, making sure that your water is always hygienic for your beds, because it's very important. Water, feed, the environment can be source of infections to your beds. So you don't want your beds to come down with diseases, because when they are spending their time nursing diseases or trying to fight infections, it's, in a way, it takes them like 2 steps backward. So you have to get a good feed. Ask from people that their birds are doing well. What feed are you using? I mean, I know about New Hope. It's still New Hope feed, and I can still beat my chest about that. Okay, well, New Hope gives like very, very good results. There are other feeds too that give good results, but at least from the customers that I know that okay, I've dealt with, farmers I've dealt with over time, most of them use New Hope feed that gives very good results. So know the kind of feed that you're using, know the quality of feed that you're using, so that you have good results. So also use quality equipment, the types of feeders, the types of drinkers you're using to prevent wastage. I mean, you have to prevent, because if you're spending so much on feed and other things, you have to make sure that at least there is no wastage. Even if there's going to be wastage, it's going to be getting to the barest minimum. So make sure that you use quality materials to prevent wastage. Also, I've talked about location, I've talked about business plan. Alright, okay. And what I will say next, let me say my last point now is always seek professional advice. At every point in time, starting from when you want to go into the egg production business, when you started, along the process, I mean everything you're going to be doing in the business, make sure you always seek professional advice, seek professional help. Don't just ask anybody, make sure these people are professionals, because when you start asking random people will give you random solutions. And random solutions usually is like a 50-50 probability. Will this work? Will this not work? Because those people, it's not like they have an in-depth knowledge. It's probably from an experience or two. And then they just feel, okay, that's the absolute solution. Usually it's not. Seek professionals who have gone to school to learn about these things and have field experience on these things. Also, I think I forgot to mention about something in your housing system. Yes, build your penthouse and the environment. Make sure it's in a way that it prevents rodents and how do I put it? Wild animals. So random solutions, most times are like probabilities. So they usually don't know. Like it's not usually absolute, but they think is absolute. So it's like a 50-50 chance of whether it will work or not. So make sure you seek professional advice, professional help. If anything happens, once you start noticing some things, like even before you start, if you have like a resident doctor, someone you talk to, a doctor you talk to, he would have told you, if you notice this, notice that, call me immediately. So at least there is immediate attention. There is immediate prevention. Or if it has already happened, you not have to control it, but at least it is still something you can still salvage. So make sure you talk to professionals, and then also make sure your housing system is in a way that it prevents wild animals and rodents from entering, because these guys can destroy your investments. They can. So make sure the materials you are getting, everything that will be used in building the pen house, in probably making a fence around the farm, make sure it will prevent snakes, rats, cats, and the likes from getting into your farm or getting into the pen house. And then if you notice that these things are very common in the environment, maybe they've told you that we have a lot of rats in this environment, or maybe we have a lot of snakes in this environment, make sure you put things in place to prevent them from entering into your farm. There are a lot of things you can put into in your farm to prevent snakes, rats, and the likes from destroying your investments. Because it wouldn't be nice for you to have done so much, put in so much effort, and then these things just come in and just destroy everything you worked for. So that'll be all for today. If you have questions, you can just put it in the comments box, or you can call our customer care line, and I'll definitely respond to your questions. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day.